Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Lane McCall. Today, I wanted to have a little fun and make this video to go over my Sony a7S III predictions as well as speculate on what I really hope to see in the upcoming announcement. So I know you're probably wondering like, yo Lane, why are you making this video now? The hype is already over. Everyone has already made an a7S III predictions video. Yes, that's true, because YouTube channels tend to follow a trend that they see when one big channel does it, the rest of the little guys will start doing it as well. The reason why I'm just now pushing this out is because even though I'm a little teeny tiny YouTube channel in the grand scheme of the whole YouTube world, I actually have some connections in the Sony headquarters building. And I was told by my very trusted contact that without a doubt, the Sony a7S III is going to be coming out this year, but it's not being released until at least Q3, but most likely Q4 of 2018. So when all this hype about the a7S III is about to come out, I was just chilling because I'm like, well, I know without a doubt this is about to be the a7 III. And sure enough, it came out, and now it's a great camera. It looks amazing. But I wanted to wait until that was released, learn about the features and specs of that before I make this video, just to get as accurate as possible, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my predictions of what I think we're going to see in the a7S III, what I know for a fact we're not gonna see, and things that are hopeful, things that I think Sony could put in there without crippling the other cameras. You guys ready? Here we go. Okay, so first up on my list here, I believe the a7S III is going to have the same body and for the most part features as the a7R III. So of course it's going to have the updated displays, viewfinder, the body, you know, the new stop record button up there on next to your thumb, the joystick, all that good stuff. It's also going to have the headphone and microphone jack. I think it's probably going to keep the Ethernet port as well. The reason being is because even though we broadly see the a7S series as more of like a video-centered camera, Sony actually made it for like stills as well, and I think that that Ethernet port, they like to keep the S and the R like side by side, you know, with price point and even some of the features. So I think they're probably going to keep that Ethernet port. However, that's not going to be a deal breaker for me if they don't, or if they do have it in there. Moving on, I also believe that they're going to keep S-Log2, S-Log3, hybrid log gamma. And as far as megapixels, I think that we might see a small bump from 12 all the way up to maybe 18 megapixels. So 12 megapixels where it's at right now, there's nothing wrong with that. I honestly wouldn't mind if they just kept that same sensor and just updated, you know, all the other features. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and up that megapixel count just a little bit, because 12 is fairly low if you're also using this as a stills camera. I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just letting you know that if you were up there around the 16, 18 area, that would be a lot more attractive to stills guys out there. Moving on, I think we need face detection autofocus, and I think we're gonna see it. I don't know if it'll be as outstanding as the a7 III, having the same autofocus as the a9. It would be great to incorporate that in there, but to be honest, I would just like to see face detection in there so that we can get more reliable autofocus. Now, as I go through this list, you're probably going to start noticing that these are mostly like video features, because that's what I primarily use my a7S for, and that's what I plan on using this one for, okay? All right, when it comes to internal recording, I think they're going to keep the same codec, the XAVC-S that we all know and hate. It's going to be 8-bit 420 internal recording. As far as outputting, I believe it's going to have 8-bit 422. We are not going to see 10-bit 422 internal or external recording out of the a7S III. That's not even a hopeful feature. Would I like it? Yes, it would be a more than welcomed feature for the a7S III, but I know Sony and I know they're not going to put that in there. They do want this to compete with the GH5, and in many ways it can, and it probably will beat it in some ways. It is going to have some welcome features, and I think rolling shutter is also going to reduce a little bit due to a faster processor. So I think 120 frames per second at 1080p is going to be in there, but at this time, it's not going to have any crop. That is going to be a more than welcome feature because there's nothing worse than putting on a wide angle lens and then as soon as you go into the high frame rate option, it's automatically going to do that window crop thing and you just lose that focal length that you had, and now it's turned into maybe a 35, maybe a 50 millimeter type of image. So that's going to be very, very welcomed. Now a lot of people are talking about the 240 frames per second. Speculating on this, I could almost see Sony doing 240 or maybe like 180, but they might have to do it at a crop mode. I don't really know. 120 would be good enough for me, but I would love to see the higher frame rates. That would certainly separate it more so from the R3 and the A7 III. Now 4K 60p, is that gonna be in there? I say yes. The reason is because the A7 III already has so many features as well as a very, very good low light performance. I think that 4K 60 is going to be the biggest reason people might choose the A7S III and not the A7 III. They need to have a few of these features that are going to be in the S3 and not the A7 III, and I think that will help separate the pack. So 4K 60p is going to be in there. Now here's a feature that everyone would pay extra money for. You already know what I'm going to say. Built-in ND filters. Is Sony going to put that in the A7S III? I say they're not. I would like for them to, and they have the technology available to them. They already implement it into some of their lower end, like non-interchangeable lens cameras, as well as their higher end FS5 and FS7s. So the technology is available to them, and they could probably even compact it and put it inside of a small mirrorless camera. But will they? I don't think they will. But if they did, this along with 4K 60p would certainly put Sony back on that top podium, which they never really stepped down in the first place, but this would be a huge technological advance, as in every user out there not having to bring a matte box with them on their little video shoots. So Sony, if you're watching this, please put an ND filter inside of the A7S III. If it's not in this model, please, for the love of God, put it in the A7S4 model. Alright, moving on from that, I don't think we're going to get an unlimited record time. The reason being is because of tax laws. I don't know the ins and outs of all of it, but long story short, it's not going to be able to record continuously past 30 minutes. Now, if you guys are freaking out about that, get you an Atomos Shogun Inferno like what I got. I have no limit on that whatsoever. Plus, I get the 8-bit 422 straight out of these Sony cameras, all right? We're not going to get a flip-out screen. If you look at the A7R III and the A7 III, they have the same articulating screen that they've had since the A7 was announced. So that's just not going to happen. And last but not least, the price is going to be $3,199. That's my guess. About $3,200. That seems to be the trend whenever the A7R II and whenever the A7R III came out. They were all priced at about $3,200. So, plus or minus 100 there. I think that's what we might see. So, that's it, guys. That was my Sony A7S III predictions video, as well as speculating on the 4K 60 and the built-in NDs. Those would be more than welcome features, and I think that if they were to put that in the A7S III, they would certainly see even more of a shift from guys coming from Canon and Panasonic to jump on board with Sony, because with those features, that would attract a lot more customers. So that pretty much wraps up the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy this YouTube channel and the content I'm pushing out, please consider subscribing for those weekly uploads, alright? Get out there, start shooting, and have some fun. My name's Lynn McCall.